All right, guys, I'm gonna do a video just about what I'm looking for the week ahead. Let me just hide this. Okay, cool. So, as we usually do, start from the dollar, see what that's doing. So, not much has massively changed. You can see we actually just ran this small high, and on a lower time frame, price came up and tested a small zone in here. Maybe it was on 10-minute or 15. Yeah, so this 15-minute right at the top, we literally came in and we tested that again, filled this small imbalance. And then we have just been coming back down. So on the hourly, we have this demand, which give us a shift of this structure in here. So now really kind of looking to see what we're going to do if price is going to come down to here and react a little bit higher. If we do actually don't break that, then potentially looking off this zone for potential sells back down into this zone. This zone is, I believe, a daily demand zone. In here, you can see this is the one that just swept this low. So would not mind seeing this come down and potentially further back up. We do have zones higher up, which could actually be tested and filled. We did have this break in here. So if we really kind of look at things, you can see that this is our discounted price, or this is our premium, this is our discount. So we do want to see if price could potentially come back up into some premium to then actually head back down. Whether we'll get back into these zones, I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, this could happen later on in the year, but it's still kind of good just to have like a little bit of an outlook. But so far going into this week, I do really want to see what reactions we're going to have around this zone, to see if we can potentially take the dollar further down, which means everything on the dollar goes up. So with that in mind, obviously I'm going to wait for Monday, just have like a bit more of a clear idea of what is happening. But let's check it out. So AU had some really nice buys off of this 30-minute zone. We had a sweep of all of the lows in here. As you know, I took a loss here. That's fine. Losses are a part of the game. We had another confirmed breaker structure here. I was just looking for the zone that really caused that. You can see if we take our fib from our high to our low, simple fib, that 786 is what I'm looking at, is lining up nicely with that zone. This is my entry, and now I'm kind of just holding and riding this to see how far we could potentially take this. Now, realistically, I am just waiting to see if this high is going to get taken, which I do think we probably could get if we go into Monday and we kind of get this confirmed break. That's going to be even better for us. What I would like to see is maybe potential, if we took out this New York low, you can see 3 o'clock, this is our New York low. We could maybe have like a sell to buy. Once we do have that confirmed break, that's when we can look in this zone for buys to then take that back up higher. Now, a couple zones I'm looking for. We do have some equal highs in here. We do have a supply zone in here. On the 4 hourly, I have said about this zone, which technically isn't really wrong, but it's not really probably the most cleanest, considering we didn't actually really do anything with this zone. If we really kind of go onto the daily, this was our real, so this is our shift of momentum. This is our low, lower, high, lower, low. So I'm not really counting this as much just on the daily time frame. But you can see if we do draw on that 50%, we're looking for price to come into some premium to then sell off into discount. So that is what I'm looking for. We do have lower levels down here. Whether we're going to achieve that, that's going to be quite a different story. But I do and could see price running back up at least into the 50% of this whole major swing move. Let me just point out the swings. This is our low, this is our high, this is our low. So now I'm just waiting to see if price is actually going to come back up into this zone. If we do in fact reach that, I do want to see if we can get a distribution, wait for that breaker structure, wait for the pullback, and take that low. First targets will actually be down into this low. But I am really going to wait and see, just sit on my hands a little bit, just to wait and have a little bit more confirmation on things. Sometimes just sitting on your hands, even if you place one trade for the whole week, that is better than trying to force a trade. Trust me, I've done it before. It doesn't work. So this is definitely a zone that I'm going to be looking up for. Obviously, do want to see the reaction within here, but one thing I am kind of very cautious of is we do have these resting highs just within here. So I would not be surprised if price actually just ran that out. So that's AU, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Euro pound, we just missed our POI. We could potentially now start heading back down to see if we could run out this low. Realistically, nothing has actually been taken within all of these highs. So potential pullback, as in a big run, a big buy to sell, could maybe be on the cards. I'm not really ruling that out as much. What we can do though still is just run a fib. Okay, you can see price literally closed right on the 50% of this area. So maybe look to see where the first point of contact and imbalance is. This is going to be this zone. So potentially could see some accumulations back up into here and actually start running out some of these highs. We do still have an imbalance still left in here. And I think if things haven't been tested, there's usually a reason why. More times than not, they actually do get filled or tested, whether that fill or test might be a run, a test, and then it breaks higher, or if we actually just get a test and then continue. But I really do want to see a lot of these highs get taken. So we can see we have a lot of like London, Asian sessions in here, a lot of New York highs still have not yet been taken. And you can see we kind of just rolled from this point. So this is definitely going to be a crucial area for me just to kind of see what happens, what we can do. We can potentially use this as kind of like our breaker. This is our supply that was created, potentially looking for demand back up into this zone. But for me, I am going to be looking for the imbalance of this zone in here, and this is kind of looking quite nice as a 50%. Okay, cool. So there we go. So 50% of this zone is looking nice. I literally just used a 50% of here. So this zone overall is kind of looking quite nice. If we do, in fact, get that test and we do have some breaks of structures, that is what I do want to be looking for the tests and then that continuation a little bit higher. So again, kind of just sitting on my hands on euro pound for the moment, just to kind of really get a bit more confirmation on this. US 30, US 30 really, really nice. Had some buys off a 5-minute in this zone in here, off here. This would have been really nice had I'd kept it. That's fine. I didn't, only because I had a sell in this point because of break of structure. This is our low, lower, high, lower, low. Looking for the zone that caused that break of structure. This was that zone. You can see we actually just wicked. This was a super clean entry. I was actually awake at this time, going into here. So I did actually close my position off here, about like 0.8%, nothing crazy, just under 1%. I did actually say in the previous video going into London that if you are in this position, take it out. Don't think it's probably going to hold. I was correct. We just mooned through it. So now we've actually had that confirmed break. We've had that break of structure higher on a 4-hour. This is our major point I was really looking for, even the potentially highs in here. So now really looking to see what zones we are going to be looking for in and around here. So I have a few of them, one of them being a weekly imbalance. This is just going to be my first point of interest. I'm really just kind of looking on the high time frames to really see what is an areas where we could test. We have a demand zone in here, which was then flipped. We can use now our Fibonacci just to look at the premium and discount within this whole range. So you can see our premium prices anywhere within this kind of range. I'm really looking forward to seeing whether we have some sort of imbalance area. This is actually my first point that I was looking for. It's off a 15-minute, which was in here. Now, I really don't probably think this is going to hold. I think we are probably going to run all of this. But I was just kind of looking at this zone because everything had been mitigated. You can see we mitigated from this zone, and this is kind of like that last point of mitigation where we didn't actually hit. It is in premium. It is where that weekly imbalance is. It technically is valid. It's probably not really as a strong of a valid zone that I would like, but it is valid. On the 4 hour, we have obviously this major supply zone where price could in fact run up a bit deeper, or we could come back up into this zone and on that hourly to see if we could get some reactions from this. But if I'm going to be purely honest, I am going to be waiting for some sort of potential pullback within this whole zone. So again, we can take the high, drop it down into the low. What is the zone that we're kind of looking for? Okay, cool. Well, we have this zone in here. I'm not really banking on this Pacific zone, but we do have this zone in here. I do really want to be waiting for Monday if we can get some sort of pullback and some continuations. I do want to see a pullback, and I do want us to see some accumulations. So what I mean by that is I do want to see kind of the market stall, kind of like what we did here. You can see we kind of come to a little bit of a halt, have kind of some sort of buy to sell, break the structure, looking for the test of these zones, and we get that continuation back up a little bit higher. We do have NFP on Friday, which is here. So all hands on deck for NFP. Personally, I don't trade it. It's never usually good for me if I do. So I don't bother with NFP. So we will definitely have a look and see what happens going into NFP. We can still, in all reality, just highlight out this zone. Probably not again really banking on this too much. But I do really want to see what zones we can get. But considering we've actually shifted and broken structures, this is kind of a bit more of an idea for me that we could actually come in. We could also come running deeper into some discounted prices if I just use my FIB. Okay, cool. So the FIB is in around this area. To be honest, nothing really too juicy. I am just going to kind of stick to my premium discount. But any kind of movements from here to take this potentially higher is what I'm going to be looking for. I am looking for overall higher time frame shorts, but we can look for the intermediate longs into said moves. So that's US30. Also on US30, which I didn't mention, we never actually took out this low, which I was surprised about. We have on the daily our EMA's crossing as well. Price is actually running under that 50%. So you can see when prices actually cross, we've come in and then we've died off. When prices cross, we've actually mooned. So now price is actually coming into a little bit of a cross. I do want to see if we can eventually kind of have that short move. Potentially could have that on NFP. We could massively open, just continue going into like NFP, then have some crazy move like this. I don't know. We could potentially get that. NAS, pretty much the same scenario, if I'm going to be honest with you. We are actually bullish on this, and I am waiting for this zone to be mitigated out of. We came close, we didn't. I'm looking at this wick as a potential liquidity point. Really and truly, I'm going to be looking for this daily imbalance to see if we can get any sort of closure within that zone. Now you can see we've got a small zone in here, which we could definitely have some reactions from. I can map that out. I'm really just going to map all of this move out, to be honest with you, because this is that daily imbalance. So we could really see that. We could even see again, we do have slight moves in here going in. We also have this hourly down here. But if I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't think I would really like to see it pull back that much. We could, in all reality, again, that is looking fairly nice for buys off. You can see the FIB is lining up with this whole major zone. So that is looking potentially quite nice. If we did get some pullbacks, we could definitely look for some longs off of this point in here. What I am going to potentially look for is zones like so. We have a 6 pip stop loss. Now, I know this is a 60 pip stop loss. It's actually, or it says 6,000. Personally, whenever I trade it, it's always calculated for me as 6 pips. If I use a one lot size on this, I'll be down $60. I always thought it was a little bit more, but it's obviously not. So we could definitely see reactions from this zone and potentially take this massively higher. We could even hold and run this all the way back up into these zones and take out this high. Again, that's kind of a bit of a bold call. We did just sweep out this low. Another point of interest that I was looking for was in fact this zone. But on the daily time frame, we are bullish. So I really just kind of want to be sticking with that bullish momentum. If price does in fact want to come down and run a little bit lower, that is fine. We can still see some potential reactions from that area, even potentially from this zone. That's going to be about a 9 pip stop loss. So we will see what happens with that. Again, we do have some zones in here which I am kind of looking for. We can refine that a bit, but really and truly, this is my nice zone that I'm looking for. And yeah, we could definitely come run down into this area, test it, and have a little bit more continuations from this. We've had a massive clear breaker structure. So now what we should really just be looking for is just the pullbacks and then the continuations higher. But again, we are going to wait and see what Monday says for the Monday Open. I know we do have some news on the AU for Monday, so I'm going to wait for Monday on AU. We could again have a little bit more of a run. Don't know why I didn't mention that before. We could do that. But NAS, again, exactly like US 30, I am just waiting for that pullbacks and that run higher. So that's definitely on the cards. Now gold, honestly, I have nothing for this. We are now testing into this zone in here. We're looking on the daily time frame. Price has come back into said zones within here. So it's going to be quite a crucial point to see if we are actually going to continue up from this point or if we're going to head back down a bit. I was quite positive that price was actually going to come run and hit this zone, and we came quite close, but we didn't hit it. So now potentially, if you want to be looking for some potential areas for this, personally for me, you can see we've came in and filled a lot of what was in here. We have this zone down here, but I'm not really going to call that, if I'm going to be honest. The one thing that's probably looking the most cleanest for me is going to be this zone. Again, I'm not taking any orders off. I'm not going to be placing any orders off this zone. I only ever really trade gold if it's a really, really clean setup. And until I actually get those clean setups, then I am just going to wait it out. We do have relatively equal highs in here. So this is going to be potentially nice to see if we can run that back out. Looking at this small shift and breaker structure in here, this still could be valid for longs. Pullbacks into here, you can see this 786 is looking quite nice. We can drop it down, see if there is anything. I don't think there's going to be anything in here. Okay, cool. So 20-minute, we have this last down move. 15, again here, nothing that intense or that amazing, which I'm going to be looking for. I do like to just scroll down the time frames just to see. Nothing really. It's nothing really that clean. But potentials from this zone, I'm just going to point the idea out. I'm not really going to be looking at that too heavy, but we will see what happens. So if you guys got any questions, please let me know. Feel free to fire away and I will help you as much as I can. All right, guys. Bye.